We're moving on to a different topic, looking at the Igbo nation, the stories of the Igbo people through visual arts. And we have Chinonso Ude with us this morning. He is a filmmaker, a poet, a cultural enthusiast, and is also the assistant producer, Orizu, at 100 Stage Drama. It's a pleasure to have you with us. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Your outfit has the 100 Stage Drama.
Yes.
It's a nice one. You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right then, can you just talk to us about what this particular stage drama means and how it affects the Igbo nation, just for the purpose of the viewers?
It's important that we tell our stories and we tell our stories ourselves, right? So oftentimes we have people tell our stories for us and we're not in control of that narrative, right? So most importantly, what we are doing is to make sure that our Igbo is immortalized, right? And then we see the impact of his years of leadership, right? So he's 100 years old this year, right? And this drama celebrates the achievements that his years on the throne and his longevity has brought to Nnewi, right, as a town and beyond, right? Because his impact spreads across not only Nnewi but across Anambra, the Igbo nation, and Igbo people spread across Nigeria, right? So it's important that we tell these stories. Igbo stories are not money or water, right? It's important that we take ownership of our story and present the identity that we want to be associated with us, right? So if we keep quiet, the wrong people will tell others what Igbo is about, and this is not what we are about, right? We are about progress, we are about longevity, we are about succession, we are about sacrifice, we are about hard work, right? So the Igbo is not associated with wealth without enterprise, right? Every wealthy Igbo man that is respected in Igbo land, there must be a history of his wealth. You hear people talk about it almost every time. That is the Igbo identity that we identify with, right? So this is what it's about. It's about telling the story of a monarch that has contributed to the progress of his people and has done it in style and still maintained the cultural values of the Igbo nation.
Interesting.
So now, talking about this Orizu at 100, I would like you to walk us through, what even inspired the conception of choosing him as someone that you would want to, put into, a form of visual art or storytelling type of thing. What led to the conception of the idea, and how is it going so far?
It's not. We've always had it in mind to document and highlight Igbo people that have impacted the Igbo nation. This is just one of many that we've done. My partner, the director of this play, has done plays on Ezaro, has done plays on Bianca Ojuku, has done plays a play on Zik, Nnamdi Azikiwe. So this is not like a one-off thing. It's something that we have consciously always wanted to identify with and do, right? So Orizu happens to be one of the main ones that we intend to work on. But this is significant because among all the ones we've done, right, it's only Bianca that it was done by Duke of Shomolu quite already. It's only Bianca that is the one that is still alive, right? But Orizu is alive, and it's not just that he's alive. He has lived through several ages. He lived through the Civil War. So there is so much to learn from his story. Because if we are not careful, we have people think the wrong things about us, right? It's important that it's from the stories of men that we learn the history of a people, right? So this is why we want to tell this story.
Okay, looking at the story, what key historical, cultural, and leadership lessons can we learn from Orizu at 100 project about the Igbo society?
So this is more or less. Like we can talk about it all day, right? But there is the Igbo apprenticeship system. Nnewi is a town of firsts, right? The first transportation companies were owned by Nnewi people, right? You talk about Ujuku Ejaba, right? And then you talk about even Ekene Dilichukwu down to Salis Ujuku, Ujuku's father, right? These are some of the pioneer transporters in Nigeria, and they are all Nnewi men. And this man has been instrumental in fact, the time that the famous Nnewi was established, right? He was the first person that cleared his space on the land that Nnewi was built on, right? So it's important. This is not somebody that is disconnected from the success of the town. This is somebody that is, very instrumental to the success of the town, right? So if you look at these individuals, right? Like I said, the story of the people is from the story of men that you tell the story of the people, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right. Now, from what you've said, of course, it's all about projecting the Igbo identity and what the Igbo people stand for generally. But the Igbo identity is quite complex. And most of Igbo tradition and history has always been through oral tradition, passed down from father to son and just like that. Now, would you say that putting it in film or theater, or other visual forms would do justice or would fully convey the message that you're talking about in the way that even generations to come can still, feel the impact and resonate with it?
This is, I would answer your question with, I would like to quote a man, right, Bonhoeffer. There is a popular understanding of Bonhoeffer that people say Bonhoeffer's theory of stupidity. He says that the stupid person is more dangerous than an evil person. An evil person, you can reason with him and then he will come to reason. But the stupid person, there is no reasoning with him because he just doesn't know. And it hurts you unintentionally. And this is what we've done with our history over the years, right? We let stupid people tell our stories. And you see people and designate Igbo land as a desolate place that people cannot progress in. You see, and I'm talking particularly about Nollywood, right? And these were Igbo filmmakers, coincidentally, right? And they come and they tell stories that are not true to our, and this has been the identity that people associate with us, right? You see people come and they are poor in the village, suffering, and then all of a sudden somebody comes back from Lagos and then takes the boy back to Lagos, and by the time the boy stays there for 5 years, he comes back very rich and comes back and the mother is dancing and stuff, and it begins to make people believe that you can't make it here. But this is not true. This is not true. I mean, we have a lot of indigenous people that have stayed all their lives in Nnewi. I was born in Nnewi, right? I grew up in Nnewi. I went to primary, secondary school in Nnewi, just learning. That's when I left Nnewi, right? And you find out that whatever you think in terms of exposure, right? I had it, right? And then I still was grounded in Igbo culture, in Igbo cultural values, right? So what we are out to do is not just to project the Igbo stories, right? It's to dispel, it's to disprove the already existing nonsense in the media about Igbo land. Every time it's stories about kidnapping and so, are there any good things happening in Igbo land and any heroes in Igbo land, right? You see people like Sakosmos Madika, most of their businesses started in Nnewi. You look at people like Emerson, the first car manufacturing company is in Nnewi, right? You look at so many people. You hear about names like Kotek, you hear about Cosmos Ngonadi. Yes, you hear about Ngobros, right? He has a diaper production company in Nnewi. In Nnewi, right? These men, their businesses are not outside Nnewi, they are not in Lagos. And then the Igbo apprenticeship system, as they are growing, they are dragging their brothers. They follow the Igbo maxim, right? And these are ideas. We've demonized our culture so much That is talking about the same movies. They bring. You see in Hollywood, right? You see the native doctor and the Reverend Father. There's a fight, and then there's a fire for fire, and receive it. The native doctor falls down, and the native doctor triumphs.
The Reverend
Father triumphs, and so it paints these things in bad light. Are there bad eggs in within that space? Yes. Are there bad eggs within the church space? Yes. But we demonize all of them because we have a few bad eggs? No. So we select aspects of our culture that are worth emulating, right, and project them. You see, ideas that people, so some of these things that people do, you see, like tattoos, right? And we had them in our Igbo culture. We had the uli arts, both in our painting, wall art and body painting. And there is the Igbo understanding of impermanence embedded in those things. Tattoo is very permanent, but that only is if you have during your youth, for example, you can draw a butterfly. By the time you're done with that space, you can always it even wipes off by itself. Then you can. So we need to start projecting these things and not demonize and bring out the imports and the cultural relevance they have to our existence, right?
Okay. So how effective is the visual arts in preserving Igbo culture for the younger generations that have actually lost their roots?
It's a very powerful tool for social engineering, right? This is a common thing in film. It's for social engineering. The West understands this properly. If you want to have a story stick, put it in pictures. There's a saying: a pound of word is what an ounce of emotion is what a pound of words, right? So you can say and write, but once you put it in pictures, right? Once you put it in pictures, it bonds, it stays, right? It stays, and more or less, it's how much more when you put it in the story. People remember the stories, and they remember the small pieces that make up the story, right? We put these things in front of you, and I'm not about any politics, but you see how the LGBTQ community pushed their agenda. It's through the media, basically the media. So whatever we are going to do, whatever we want to do, and we are not putting it in film, we're not putting it in visual, we're not representing them visually, right, to our people, to the younger generation, we're not yet serious.
Now we know that different people, of course, engage with all this historical theater in different ways, and in the course of this production, I'm sure you must have encountered different people, both elders and historians, youth, just everyday people trying to get information and interact with them. How has the reception been so far with regards to, this production? How has the reception been? And, how has the entire process been? And what would you say are the surprising aspects of it that, you got to understand as you embarked on this project?
One of the sad realities that we faced on ground is that we get to understand that some people that are even up to 60 years have never experienced theater. They don't know what it's about. Yes, some of them have never experienced theater. You have a town that is a hustling town. People rarely have time to unwind, right, more or less. So, but what we aim to do is what we call pleasurable instruction, right? So it is pleasing, and then you learn from it at the same time. So we intend to carry every audience along. We quite understand where we're going to. That's why we are bringing in stars, Nollywood stars, right? People like Chinedu Kedieze Aki. Then we have Patience Ozoko coming, Obiokoli, and a host of others, right? So we are bringing these people to stimulate them visually and then instruct them. Right? Not just that, there are spectacle. There is spectacle in the play, a lot of spectacle. If you are consistent with the style of Dr. Ike Rojikwe, he always integrates spectacle into his art. So it's always wholesome. It's what we call total theater. There is dance, there is drama, there is everything that you would expect. Sound is very stimulating, right? The visuals are extremely pleasing. Okay,
let's look at what economic opportunities does the large-scale cultural stage could actually bring to create industry, to create a large creative industry, right, to enhance the creative industry in the East?
So we have to look at it like, from a wholesome perspective, right? It's one of the biggest industries in Nigeria, actually one of the few ones that are thriving without government support, or is the media industry, right? There are young people on TikTok making money. There are young people on Facebook, and you see a lot of people playing Igbo game now on Facebook, and they make money, earn a living from it. So it will reduce the rate of unemployment, put money in the pockets of young people and old people as well, right? So the economic impact of art on Igbo land, right, is, you cannot emphasize on the importance to promote, because for a long time it has always been, if you have any skill, you can make film. People advise you go to Lagos, that's where the money is. But now the world has become a global village, so you can stay here, explore aspects of our culture, teach people things that they don't know, people that are not grounded, help them get grounded and still earn from it. So it's an industry that anybody can earn from.
Now, you said something that caught my attention. You made mention of the use of spectacle, that you use spectacle a lot, and that leads me to ask you about, the visual elements and the theater techniques that is going to be employed in this play, or in this, stage performance. When you try to balance modern theater techniques with, traditional Igbo visual storytelling, I want to know how you incorporate the two to make it, more appealing to viewers.
So, basically this question should go to the director of the play. He's the owner of the vision, right? But I'm going to offer a little insight into it because I've worked closely with him for a while. So I may be wrong, but what he does is what the Indians call the Masala approach to theater, right? What the Indians understand as the Masala approach. They bring in everything, right? You see them dance. So that is the cuckoo for you, right? So expect madness, expect crazy things, right? I've seen him open plays with fire eating. So you're just sitting down in the theater, and then somebody just, it's all dark, and then fire just erupts from nowhere. And everybody's like, what is this one? You understand? So even me, I'm expecting to be surprised, right? I'm not directing, but knowing him, you understand? I know that it's going to be very visually stimulating, right?
Okay, let's look at support from all angles, support from the government sector, even the private sector support. Why is it still weak to get this support in terms like this when trying to preserve the culture of the Nigerian people?
My name is Chinos. I'm not saying on that or some of these governors, but to offer some sort of insight from my perspective, what has happened is value, right? Is a value system, right? It's a value system, because we've seen governments try to support, right? I'm in the loop of a conversation for some place. One of my friends that is in ANP, Association of Movie Producers in Enugu. It's a first. I just saw that the government is inviting them for a round table, right? It's a first, which is a welcome development, and I think it's a step in the right direction, because this helps ownership of stories. This is what governments should do, right? They should fund films, because if you pay the piper, you dictate the tune. Fund films, and then make them project your states in a good light. Show the beautiful places in Enugu, right? One of the earliest times I was in Enugu, I was just shouting, "Wow, wow!" Right? Because these are places I only see on Nat Geo World, but they are here, right? You see the Igbo Pine Forest, you see the Unity Park, right? You move around that government house from Obi Road, right? And move down, you see beautiful spaces, right? So why are these things not in our films? Why are they not in the faces of everybody? People will sit in Lagos and think that life starts and ends in Lagos, but when they've come to Enugu, you see the NBA conference, they come and then they're giving reviews and they're like, wow, so this place is like this, right? So we should be putting these things in the faces of people, aspects of our culture. Our stories are not demonic stories. They're a part of our history. Even the ones that are ugly are still a part of our history.
I mean, it makes up the whole.
Yeah, it makes up the whole this thing. I mean, nobody's face is smooth and smooth for. So there must be one small pimple somewhere.
I like that. Now, you know, one of the most interesting things about these stage performances is it is open to different interpretations from the people who are coming to watch. And so I want you to, what message do you hope people live with after seeing this performance, and what message are you curious to see how they interpret it differently from what you originally had in mind, or what was the concept of the project?
Again, like, I'm not categorically telling you that what I say, right, basically is that the owner of the vision, who is the director, right, puts things out.
Okay.
And now what you take is the perspective you see it from, right? And sometimes preconceived ideas about things would already, so to some people, when they come there, they've seen, this Navy dance, wow. To some people, they're like, oh wow, so Obi, Igbo Navy is not Obi of Navy. You understand? So there are several messages and they are strategically placed. So it depends on the individual, right? For young people, there are storytelling techniques that will come in that will appeal to them, right? That will appeal to them, and the message they get is based on the perspective they see these things from. For people with deeper meaning, there are so many things that they can pick from it that the director wouldn't even think about or have thought about before the performance. So what happens is you can control your own end of the business, which is to put these things, but what people get from it is basically based on emotion. Like when the emotions are purged, it's called catharsis in theater, when the emotions are purged. So in that, what we say is recollection in tranquility, right? When they are recollecting in tranquility, they can now say, so this is this. So I cannot tell you what you will think after this. A wise man will put butterfly in his hands and say, is it dead or alive? He said, it's in your hands. Yes, because if you say it's dead, if you can open your hand and then
it's alive.
And it's alive. And then you say it's alive, you squish it and you say, you said we will see, but we do not see. Do you get? So that's art for you. It's about divergence. It's not science. Expected outcome, So yeah.
Alright then, so let's look at how this could actually be infused into the school curriculum. We have people tell the stories of the Igbo nation, and history particularly, and you have students just read to pass exams. Nobody really cares about how true these facts are and all that. So how can this also help in the school curriculum to actually help enlighten students and also keep in their memory that they can tell stories like this using this stage production that is coming up as an example?
Oh, okay. This question is personal to me because I'm an educator too, right? I'm the school principal, sort of. So now, what I think is that this should be a method of learning, right? It's called creative something, I've forgotten. But what it does is that, you see, when you tell a child and when you show a child are two different things, right? Some schools already, some Montessori schools are already integrating these ideas, like they call it participatory lessons, right? So where they keep in, on, under. So now drama generally it helps the society become better thinkers. That is one of the main essence of drama, right? during the Renaissance, there was a time that is called the Renaissance, after the Dark Ages, when the French elites wanted to bring back the glory of the ancient Greek, right? So one of the first things they did was to set up plays that stimulate the mind, right? One of the things they used was the instrument of drama. So to educate a child or an adult, drama goes a very long way to do that. There are some words, children pick up from their cartoons that you can teach for 10 years, they wouldn't learn it. Yeah, they wouldn't learn it. So drama is a powerful tool. So for it to be built into the curriculum, if children participate or watch, at some point, we had it in our secondary school, we had drama clubs, and one of the earliest inspirations I had, right, was when a school from Unizik, a set of students from Unizik came to our school to act The Lion and the Jewel in our school. Now, that it was an experience that has lived with me forever. And I still remember the names of the characters. Not from reading, I later read, but not from reading them, but I still remember them from the performance that they put on stage. So you never forget what you see.
Sure.
What you see. And you have an emotional attachment to. So it burns into your memory.
Right. Just very quickly before we go, what would you say that the creatives and the creative industry should do more when it comes to telling the story of the Igbo nation, particularly the next generation of Igbo storytellers and creatives? What do you think they should do?
Cultural authenticity, right? Cultural authenticity. You don't come and put anachronisms on the screen, right? You see the rubbish that you see people, the Igbo have servants. We are not like that. Nobody comes to like bow. Even our Igbos have businesses. They have businesses. You trace it. They have businesses. Some of them are professors. Some of them are. So we are not the type that will sit down. People will come and be paying homage. What we give will be freely given, right? We support our own. But that does not mean that the Igbos will sit down and be waiting for. So he leads by example. If he wants people to have shops, they will have shop. I know an Igbo from Enugu Ezike. He has a shop. He has a cement shop. He's my friend. He has a cement shop, and he goes there to sell every morning. Right. So let there be some sort of authenticity. So people don't. There is poetic license, right? But don't abuse it.
Okay.
It's like saying that you leave things to willing suspension of disbelief. But you have to give people enough for their imagination to work. So you have to understand the economics of imagination. You give people what is authentic and what should at least give them an idea of how this is. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Chino. So of course, we look forward to this particular production. Our conversation was on the stories of the Igbo nation through visual arts, a case of Orizu at 100th State Drama. Our guest, Chino Sode, is a filmmaker, a poet, cultural enthusiast, assistant producer, Orizu at 100th State Drama. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you
once again. All right, this is where we draw the curtains for the signature morning show from the Enugu studio, as we connect to Abuja to continue till the end of the show. We're signing off right away. I am Quinsley Rowland.
I am Uchenna Chimdi Oluoha. Enjoy the rest of your day.